What the? Who the lights off?
Oh my gosh! Not
God,
this again. So tired of this stuff.
I swear to oh. Stop the damn recording, man. What Well, we had a mishap, but we're back. I hope that everyone out there is fine.
It's definitely been a very difficult week here in Houston and in Texas, just across the board.
Like I said, I hope everyone's doing well and you have everything that you need. It's like I said, it's been a rough time. This freeze. A lot of people are still going through some things right now. Alhamdulillah, we're okay, and we pray that you all are as well.
Yeah. So we are back again. Finally, we missed you all last week. Back on the cozy couch. We already had a mishap. Hopefully, this whole electricity thing is going to get straightened out, and we can, do what we came to do. So today's episode is a continuation of episode 3. So episode 3, the confession was,
we're glad
we got divorced. So if you remember, we kind of mentioned a few things and knew we were going to have to come back and talk about them because it's just so much.
We don't necessarily remember exactly where we left off, but we're going to start somewhere around there.
I have an idea, kind of, even though I didn't. My note card is pretty much blank today because it's just been that type of week.
It's just a prop today. So
it's a prop, yes. So anyway, I might refer to it. We'll see. But so we pretty much had led you up to our prior divorces. Is that how you say it? Prior divorce? Their divorce.
Sounds right to me. If not, who cares?
Anyway,
prior
I can
divorces.
say it because that's how I talk. Anyway, so I think today's episode, we're going to transition into a lot of the things that happened once we got married. So maybe just a little bit before that about some of the court dates and things that we experienced before we got married, and then transitioning into...
Sorry. Go ahead.
I just thought about disclaimer. If you haven't watched the disclaimer video, please go back and watch it. The first one is that we're going to be loud.
Oh yeah, and please.
And
please,
this man finds a reason.
Watch this disclaimer as many times as you need to make sure you avoid any situations that you encounter with us and our foul selves.
I mean, it is what it is. We told you.
Yes. Rest of it's on you.
Exactly. So anyway, so just kind of jumping back in, I don't remember where we left off. So we're just gonna, if you've heard this before, sorry, it is what it is. All right. So for me, after my divorce was easy. After the divorce, it became a whirlwind of child custody and child support court. So here's the thing. For any of you, hopefully none of y'all are going to get divorced. No, you can get married. Don't get divorced.
But be careful when you get married because you end up getting divorced.
Try to stay married if you can, okay?
Be careful.
So.
Be conscious.
We already gave you the warning about making sure you marry.
Choose wisely.
Choose wisely. So the next warning is, when you start the divorce proceedings, it just it snowballs into this stuff. So I think I told you last time that my ex filed for emergency temporary custody. But what happened is that automatically starts the ball rolling on regular, traditional custody, and then also child support. And so there became it became a huge issue. I was the one pursuing this stuff. But if you ever, I'm not telling you go look at my court documents because that ain't your business. But if you ever did go and see,
they gonna look anyway.
It's public record. If you ever did just happen to see some court documents, you'll notice that he is listed as the plaintiff and I am listed as the defendant. Now,
the respondent was a defendant?
It's a defendant.
Okay,
I'm defending myself against the plaintiff. The plaintiff is the complaintiff, okay? The person making the complaint. And so, if any of you watch a lot of Law and Order like myself, then you know. that you know about these terms. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone because whatever. Anyway, so on the court documents, I am listed as the defendant for the child custody because I didn't start the proceedings, he did. Now on the child support, what people don't realize is that when a custody complaint goes into order, it automatically like dings, something dings off in the system that starts the child support.
So ding, we got us one. Somebody gonna be paying into the system.
So anyway, so basically my point is like there was a lot of back and forth, and I'll talk about it a little bit more, but all of this was like spearheaded just by like one thing. It just like it started and then it just like never freaking stopped. And so I don't know, I don't want to be talking all the time.
No, you're good.
Okay, keep going.
No, it's up to you.
So basically what happens is like, you know, you'll hear people talk all the time and they're like, oh Lord, it's a court battle and like it's like a fight to the finish and stuff, and that's kind of how it feels.
It's like a fight to the death.
Fight to the death, yeah. So what happens is you keep going back until like, you know, for us, we were on a track where we didn't have lawyers, and so we the good thing about, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. The good thing about the court system there is they have a tract specific for people who don't have lawyers. So because he didn't have representation and because I didn't have representation, then we both were in this courtroom where nobody had representation. Everybody was representing themselves, which was a hot ass mess. Because the thing about court that I freaking hate is that you sit there and you hear all the other cases being presented before you. And so it's like really disgusting because like there's certain situations where you come in, you like feel sorry for the person who went before you, and then like the other situation you're like, man, you know, you make up these stories in your mind. You don't know nothing about these people. All you know is their poor ass defense because they ain't got no lawyers. So
and you're sitting there and your stomach is tied in like 5,000 knots,
waiting for your case to be called. Yeah.
And you know, and then you think to yourself, I have to talk about my situation in front of these bunch of people that I don't know. You know, it's just uncomfortable, you know? And it's meant to be honest. I really feel like, you know, if you don't have a lawyer, then you're pretty much representing yourself. So you have to pretty much put all this information out yourself. It's easier when you have a lawyer because you don't have to say anything.
Nope.
You know, you sit there and let them talk. But if you don't, it's a nightmare.
It really is, and I think it's like it's a system that's set up for like I was lucky in that we were both on an even kill where neither one of us had legal representation, and so it was a shit show, but it was expected to be such, and our judge was really cool. Like I have no problems with the judge that we had because, you know, he would help us out. You have some judges who's like, well, this is a court system, so you have to ask for things in the correct way, knowing that we're not lawyers. Yep. But our judge, he was really cool and kind of like, so what you're saying is that you want so and so. So he would kind of like help guide you through without it being like illegal or like him overstepping. So he was really cool.
In my situation, my court cases were here in Texas, and I had a judge who was. It's fair to say that he was a bigot. You know, old white man. You know, and you know, just he was a sickening individual. He's lost his seat now, thank God. But not saying that whoever replaced him is any better. I don't know, and I really don't want to know. But at the time, like I said, he was a complete asshole.
Gosh,
the case was already tough because I had to come from North Carolina back here with my son. So anyway, initially I had my son in my custody because of the fact that I moved from another place, and like I told you before in the last episode, that I had the kids and I moved in with my ex-wife's brother. We would live together.
So his son's uncle.
Right. So my son's uncle, we lived together. While his sister or my son's mom was, I think, somewhere else. It doesn't matter where she was. She was somewhere else, and I had the kids. So me and my former brother-in-law or whatever were raising the kids together. So we were taking care of the children. So anyway, we were there, and eventually this person decided to come back to Houston, and the funny thing about it was, her brother told me, he's like, man, this isn't good. Like she got a plan. She has a plan, right? So anyway, it happens that I was working. I was out in Pearland, and so anyway, I would make sure the boys got to school. But one day my son was feeling sick, so he didn't go to school that day. It comes to find out, Allah is so gracious and so merciful. Come to find out that his older brother told me that the day that my son was sick, when he came back from school, that his mother, it was a plan for them to meet their mother at the bus stop so she could take them and run off with them from somewhere. So that never happened, alhamdulillah, because if it had, I probably to this day wouldn't even know where my son was, because this person has done this to someone else before. Right. Didn't know, but she had done this to someone else before. A man didn't know where his son was. She ran off with the children. So eventually, go ahead.
Can we talk about that real quick? So for those of you who don't know, if you don't have a custody order in place, then whoever has physical custody of the child, there's no order. There's no, there's nothing to hold you to it. So if you have your child and then all of a sudden your ex decides they're going to take your child and not give them back, you don't have any legal standing to get them back. So whereas the court system is a bunch of bull, and it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. The court should not have to be involved, but in order for you to have a legal standing with your child, getting your child back, the court has to be involved, because if you go to the police and say that the son's father or mother kidnapped them and you don't have a legal order,
there's no kidnapping.
There's no case. As far as they're concerned, there's nothing they can do, because that is their parent. Right. So sorry.
But that's true. So in that situation, my son still had to continue to go to school, and I still had to continue to go to work. So my brother-in-law at the time and my father-in-law at the time told me that I needed to leave the state. So I did. I took my son and we left, because if she was able to get my son, then it was a wrap. I would never been. I would never found him. Yeah. Because she was in that system where a lot of women. I'm not saying not every woman is abusing the system of safe houses where they are being lodged when they suffer domestic violence. Mm-hmm. Some people take advantage of that system and get things that aren't due to them because they lie about the situations.
Heck yeah.
So a lot of that is happening, and this is what's happening at this point.
Yeah.
So if she was to get my child and run back to that system, if I went to the building to see if she was there, they wouldn't tell me she was there.
Right.
They would never give me any information. And I understand that in people that are in domestic violence situations, but this wasn't a domestic violence situation.
Yeah.
My wife is well aware of that type of system because she worked in that system for
a few years.
Yeah, for a while.
For a few years, right. I was a domestic violence advocate, on the Speakers Bureau. So, I can vouch for everything he's saying. There's lots of people who use the system to their advantage, and there's a lot of people who will lie to get the benefits that the system brings.
Right.
And case in point, obviously he's experienced that, but I've also seen that done so many times. Mm-hmm. So, it's just disgusting. And so kind of going back, so he ended up coming to North Carolina.
I transferred with my job.
Yeah.
My job transferred me to a situation, so I already had a job.
Yeah.
I also stayed with some of my brother-in-law's family on his side, so they kind of transported me through their system, and it was good.
Allah worked it out.
Alhamdulillah, Allah worked it out.
We were talking at the time, but that's not why he came to North Carolina.
Right.
North Carolina just ended up having the job transfer
exactly.
option somewhere for him to stay, and
Mm-hmm.
I was there. And so, I mean, it just kind of worked out.
Right.
And I feel like if you remember, we talked about like that progression in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It was part of that progression.
Right,
It was
right.
it was not exactly pain free,
Right.
but it was a part of that progression. And so he came to North Carolina. Before he came to North Carolina, I had gotten full custody of my son. And the way I got custody of my son actually was we went back and forth. They make you do mediation in North Carolina, and I think a lot of places it was completely pointless for me because I was dealing with somebody who wasn't willing to compromise. It was kind of like they wanted all or nothing. And, you know, I really tried hard to try to think of what was best for my son. And, you know, a lot of times when you're getting out of a divorce and out of a relationship with people, the feelings of that relationship, the pain, the whatever, takes over. I see a lot of times this is more likely with women. You know, women will use the kids to get back at the man and stuff like that. Men typically don't do that, but women will do that like in a heartbeat. And that was kind of the situation in my case where it was like, he was kind of like, so because we had a temporary order in place where he was supposed to get him on every other weekend and then Wednesdays, and he wasn't really getting him. And so until the permanent order got in place, I had gotten some advice from somebody, and they told me to keep a detailed account of when he got him on his time. Basically, it's kind of like you're building your case. And that's the best that you can do is like, even if you don't know what the hell you're doing, just, you know, as much documentation, document as much as you can, because it's just gonna, like, even if you don't know how to present it in court, hopefully you can get some help with presenting it in court.
I think I want to add to that, you know, regardless of what a lawyer tells you or what a judge tells you, whatever, try your best not to be shady.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter if you win being shady.
Yeah.
You're eventually going to lose. Because lies, deceit, all that stuff is going to get you in the end.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it might be the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat right now, but if you do that the wrong way, it's coming back to you.
Absolutely.
You may not see it in this life, but you'll see it. I don't know why she's laughing. It's not funny. I think it's
not funny.
a very
It's
serious
true.
situation. I'm just saying, try to do things as straight as possible. You know, I know a lot of times people come to you and they give you this bad information. Say you should do this, you should do that. You know, the shaitan comes in, Satan comes in and try to tell you this. You should do that and do that. Don't do it.
Yeah, maintain your integrity in all ways. Like, Allah will bless you in ways that you don't see the blessings, and like even in the moment, like you may not know that it's a blessing. For me, my blessing came when we were in court. I was a defendant, remember? I was there ready to state my claim and my case as to why I wanted, like, you know, the custody or whatever.
She didn't tell any lies. She didn't make any exaggerations.
No.
She didn't do any of that.
No, the way I ended up getting full custody of my son actually is because we were there at the court all day, and lunchtime came, and they were going to call us. They were going to go into recess, and my ex got impatient and decided he left. They called my case next. And so the judge got me up there and he asked me, he was like, well, what do you want? He's not here. I was like, well, I was ready to like defend myself. I wasn't ready to make a claim for what I wanted. And so from that conversation, and like I said, the judge was amazing because he pretty much kind of made me understand that, like, at this point, because he wasn't there, we were not going to reschedule the case. And so he asked me what I wanted. So I wanted full custody. I didn't want to terminate his parental rights. I made it where he could still see him, but it was at my discretion. Right. And so that's where our custody case pretty much ended. We went back and forth a lot of times, but it was never changed.
Well, in my situation, like I said, the judge was who he was. Like, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm not any of those things, but when you think about those things in the state of Texas, you have to understand the type of characteristics that comes with a person that identifies as either Democrat or Republican. So my judge was Republican, and I was a black man, Muslim, standing in front of him. He had all those details. He knew all those things based on our case.
Plus the lies that had been told.
The lies had been told had been like I forced somebody. Like one of the biggest lies that was told, that the person said that I didn't allow them to work, which was crazy because I didn't have a lawyer, so I couldn't produce my evidence. But I had W-2s.
Oh my gosh!
I had in a folder. They wouldn't let me present my evidence. So much evidence, but I couldn't produce it because I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't follow the protocols that are in place.
Such bullshit,
in this legal system. So I wasn't allowed to present the evidence that I could have debunked every lie that she told, but I didn't. Even the second time we came to court, I had her brother with me. He didn't say anything because he didn't get a chance. They wouldn't hear the case.
And not only that, the judge approached him on some stuff that wasn't even true. And I'm thinking, who are you talking about? Obviously, we could have said it like that, and then ended up but it was like he had been prepared for some other stuff, and there was some comments exchanged between him and his ex-wife's lawyer that made it understood that they knew each other.
Right.
And
the judge was friends with her attorney and her attorney's mentor, and all. They had these conversations. And I'm like, what on earth?
It was the most disgusting display I have ever seen in a courtroom.
I didn't know things like that could happen or were allowed to happen, or it was insane. At one point he told the stenographer to stop typing, and he had a whole conversation with her lawyer.
Yeah.
Her pro bono lawyer.
Yeah. That she got by lying and saying
exactly.
Anyway, but
right. So I'm just saying this is the whole setup now. This is the whole setup now.
So this. I'm sorry. This is his story, but I was there for this. So we were married when this happened, and literally, even now as we talk about it, my blood just boils because it was just so disgusting, and it was just like you walked away just feeling so helpless. And then we came back. We actually got help and tried to get, we did a GoFundMe page to get a lawyer so that when we, meanwhile, we live in Charlotte.
Right.
And this stuff is in Houston. We're driving back and forth to Houston for these court dates. And so, I think some misconception was that we were asking for money because we were trying to pad our pockets.
It's because we were
spending
so much on everything that we were doing.
It was.
But like I said,
that's neither here nor there.
Exactly. So at the end of this all, I ended up having to come back to Houston because I had my son with me, but I didn't have a lawyer, so I lost. And there were a lot of slanders that were put against me that I couldn't defend because I didn't have a lawyer to help me defend them. But I had a packet full of information that would have debunked, pretty much anything.
He says a packet. We had a 3-ring binder. We had a
so
thick,
thick
1-inch 3-ring binder.
And I couldn't present it.
Pictures of his room with all this stuff that we signed him up for, a recent physical, showing that he was very well taken care of. Things that debunked lies that had been thrown at him. His lawyer was doing discovery document, or her lawyer was doing discovery documentation, which I ain't a lawyer, so I don't even know what that means. But they were sending us stuff, and we had to respond and stuff, which ended up working against us in the end because the lawyer was like, "Well, you should have asked for so and so." The judge was like, "You should have said so and so."
He said you didn't tell us that you were indigent. Now I don't know anything about that. I didn't know that was something that you could even do. But so people, if you ever have to go to court, the problem is I would have done the research. I didn't know what research to do.
Right.
So just see if you can. Legal Shield is a good option.
It is.
Check them out. If there's something that's going on in your life right now, you try to become a member of Legal Shield, and they'll help you with certain questions and things of that nature. They'll point you in the right direction and tell you what you need to do, what paperwork you need to file. They won't do it for you, but they will.
They'll do some of it for you.
They might do some of it for you. Either way. But that's a plug for
my parents. Yeah, we'll tag their Legal Shield thing below. It's relatively cheap too.
And right now you think it's probably a menial thing because it doesn't cost so much, but it's really very helpful if you need it. I mean, I think it's a great resource.
Yeah.
Just for information.
It does. It helped me a lot. Like I said, I
Right.
did my own divorce with Legal Shield. They looked over my divorce whatever paperwork, and told me there was a couple of things. They said you should put this here. You know, like they helped me out there.
Right.
I've had some tickets, some speeding tickets
'Cause
that
you got a
they've
lead
helped me
foot
with.
now.
I ain't got no lead foot, but anyway, they've helped me with that. And then what else was it? There was some other, just like all these court cases
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's like
But,
it's just helpful to have be able to ask questions and have access to a lawyer. But
anyway, what I was saying was that make sure you do that. And like I said, I ended up back in Houston, but this was a really trying time for me, having to eventually come back here and drop my son off, and I nearly lost my faith behind that, because first of all, I love my children, and my son and I are extremely close, and it was extremely hard for me. Like I said, I really, I to this day I still pray for forgiveness for things that I said and things of that nature, because like I said, it was really a trying time for me, and alhamdulillah, I'm still here. I'm grateful, and but the benefit in it was that I know where my son is, and nobody can run off with him without suffering some type of legal repercussions.
no, and we've had to use those legal repercussions
Yes.
before.
We have, because sometimes somebody was trying to block visitations
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So we had to take those legal recourses to have those things enforced. So like I said, I don't know. I don't. You know what? It's amazing how something that's supposed to be a good thing for you can turn out to be such hell.
Yeah.
You got to be careful in your choices, everybody.
You really do. And I think the other thing is we touched on it a bit, but we were a year and a half into our marriage when
all this stuff was going on.
Yeah. We were probably like a year,
Yeah.
because we got married in June, and then the big court date was in July of the next year,
Right.
and then he ended up having to come.
It almost. Well, that's for another. That's the thing for another date.
Yeah, but
But it was a big one, y'all. It was a doozy. It was a doozy.
Yeah. It definitely. If you can only imagine, right? We're fresh into this,
Right.
But I think the other side of it is just the fact that we both have experienced those things, and it brought us closer together in a way that goes back to us being married for 25 years at this point, is because our years are dog years. It's like each one is 7 each, okay? And that's because and he's come with me to some of my court dates.
Yes.
And my court dates, my ex would get so wound up.
Ridiculous.
Every time I went, the
Sheriffs
sheriffs
and
and
stuff
stuff would have to hold him while I could leave the
Exactly.
courthouse, not the courtroom, the courthouse, and then they would let him go, because it was to that degree. And he has come to one or a couple of them.
I was really only at one, because I remember particularly because the one of the sheriffs he wasn't worried about him because I was there with her.
Yeah.
He should have been, because I don't want to end up going to jail.
No, we don't want
He should have
that.
been handling that stuff, but I would have done what was necessary, because this
Yeah.
guy was completely irrational.
He was
Completely irrational.
escalated completely every time, and a lot of that was because it never went exactly how he wanted it to. Even when the judge would give him an inch, he'd say, okay, well, let's reevaluate the custody, let's do this and this. If it wasn't, it was all or nothing. He wanted half custody or nothing. And that was unrealistic, because he hadn't really been spending time with our son, and I was willing to let him see him, but anyway, we missed you. It's been 2 weeks, so this one went a little long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, but the crazy thing about this thing is that this still is not the whole thing. I mean, really, it's still not the whole thing, because I'm telling you, this stuff drags you through the fire. I mean, it really does, and you come up tattered and torn, and and having someone like this lady right here. My wife is she's an amazing person. Like she has a lot of patience, you know, for certain things, not everything. She has a lot of patience for when it comes to people and the things that they're dealing with. She has a lot of tolerance and a lot of empathy and things of that nature. And she's and I have to tell her a lot of times to like pull back because she will empty herself, and I don't want her to do that for anybody, not even me. And so I have to tell her to pull back because you need to save some of that for yourself.
Yeah.
But that's the way she is. You know, she has a big heart like that.
He's my protector, you know, in every way. Like, you know, I wasn't worried about anything that would happen with my ex after we got married because it was like, look, bruh, at your own risk, because this man right here, he don't play.
I'm a protector.
He don't play
I'm
about
not
his family.
I'm not a fighter per se,
No.
but I'm very much a protector.
Right.
You know, I don't go looking for problems or anything like
No.
that. But problems come to my doorstep, you know, or towards my family, then, you know, inshallah, I'll answer the problems. You know, but, that's about it.
And so it's just really been a blessing,
Yeah.
I think, on both of our ends because because we both had experienced it, right? So like it wasn't like it's like, oh, here she go again. I'm back in the courtroom. I'm tired of this. No, it was like at one point we was just like it was like a ping pong ball. It was like
me, her,
my turn this time.
me, her, you know. And it was just like insane, man. It just was a consistent thing, man.
You can imagine how difficult that is to like really
in a new
build
marriage.
that like connection.
Right.
But I think for us it probably did the opposite of what it would do for some people.
I think it really built us.
It really did. We have like such a strong foundation. So like when
we've seen each other at our lowest points.
Yeah.
You know, in ways that, you know, sometimes people can't handle that stuff sometimes.
It's rough, man.
To watch somebody be at a low point and worrying and even crying and all kinds of things, you know.
When you can't do anything to help, especially, it's not like other things where it's like, oh, you're upset about this cup. Here's a new cup. It's like you can't, like, what are you doing?
What do you do?
What can you do? There's nothing you can do, and that's a very like difficult place to be in, very helpless. I think for me, like I've had, you know, a couple bouts with a therapy, a couple of rounds, whatever, different situations in my life. And so like it helped me a lot. It helped me, and I think me being in that moment and knowing what it takes to kind of heal and stuff like that. Like the biggest thing I feel like that I tried to do for him was to give him space, but not so much space to the point where like he, like what do you say, like give enough rope to like hang yourself or anything. It was like, I'm gonna give you space, but I'm also gonna be like working to try to like find constructive things. I think I pushed you towards your art. I like really was trying to like, because sometimes you need that hard work to help you like get through some of the tough times. For me, writing and journaling has always been something that has helped me get through tough times. That's what they always tell me in therapy, and I would encourage you to do that as well. Like if you're struggling with stuff, write it down. If you're mad at somebody, write them a letter. You ain't got to give it to them. Just write it for yourself. You can burn it and then pretend like you just burnt that relationship or something. I don't know. I might need to do that.
I might need to do that. Well, anyway, that shit's in the fire. That shit's burnt. Anyway, but like I said,
not like going back to it. I'm just saying like letting go of the emotions.
Right.
Anyway.
Listen, like Denzel said, I'll never leave my wife. She might leave me for some other odd reason, but I'm never leaving my wife.
I ain't going nowhere.
It's my
ride or die, man. Right, for real.
With that being said, y'all, we've dragged this out long enough.
We have.
So
sorry it was so long, but we missed
you know,
y'all.
Come on, man. We've been through some stuff in the past week or so, though, right? Y'all wake up out there, man. It's rough, man.
We had to do a whole separate like segment on that to let people know. But yeah, we really appreciate you. Thanks for hanging with us. Continue to hang with us. Make sure you like the video, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think. And I'm not the rapper here, so I'm gonna stop.
All right, y'all. We out of here.
Bye.